Oh, hey, hi, hey, howdy. Thank you
But
so much for having me on. When I saw your post, I was just like, I got some special interests.
mhm.
So I got into chainmail accidentally because
Mhm.
I bought one of those like chainmail hacky sacks a couple of
Oh
years
yeah.
ago. The ones that are, yeah, you know the ones. It's like they're
Mhm.
just, you go to a fair or a festival or a con, they're there. I bought one and it broke,
Oh.
and I was like, I bet I could fix this. It's just like a ring, right?
Mhm.
Turns out I've never been so wrong in my life. And I bought pliers and I figured out how to fix it. And I was like, wait, so I could just like make one of these, couldn't I? And just
Mhm.
yeah, it's so anyway, here we are. I make mostly accessories and jewelry. I've made scale mail, accoutrement.
Mhm.
Uh, and I don't know a great deal about the history of chainmail, but I know that what I do is considered um butted chainmail instead of
Mm.
riveted, which is what would have been used for armor.
Right.
Um, so rivet is where they just overlap the ends and they slam a pin or rivet through, pound it down, and that nonsense is not opening anywhere.
Mm.
Um, mine depends on the metal, and you can totally snag it and ruin it, just like a what I presumed was a stainless steel hacky sack, but
Uh-huh.
it's not the case. So from the images I sent you, what I do, I started with jewelry because the rings are like kind of like a good size, and I use now I use Zuron pliers, which are I actually don't remember the name of the springs in them, but they're better than regular leaf spring pliers, and you can make pretty much anything. I've made my own business card holder out of chainmail.
Oh.
I know people who make hats. I know people who like. I don't make hats. I like my hair.
Mhm.
Hey. um. So let's see. Chainmail nowadays is usually made out of aluminum, which to get colorized, you would anodize it. You'll find some copper, which is really common, but it's very heavy and oxidizes. You'll find steel that's stainless, less stainless, and oxidized. If you want some that's got a black tone,
Mhm.
pretty much everything is going to leave marks. So you don't want to lay over like chainmail over stuff like clothing,
Mhm.
unless you're really, really not attached to that clothing. Um, oh God. So I've sent you images where you can see I left the dates on them so you can see progress because
Mhm.
I was using like Joanne's rings at first.
Oh yeah.
No ones. Yeah. So I was like at Joanne's be like, I don't know what size these are. I'm sure it's fine. What's the worst that could happen? Uh Turns out chainmail involves a lot of math, but it really appeals to like pattern recognition, part of my
Mm.
ADHD.
Yeah, I'm always like
Um
really like enamored by the pattern they make.
Yeah. So there's an image that I definitely am pretty sure I sent called aspect ratio.
Mhm.
And I can post like a hyperlink or whatever to anybody who wants to see it. But the way rings work is that they measure the wire gauge itself in millimeters, and then you go by the interior diameter of the ring you're working with,
Mm.
and you divide one into the other, and it gives you just a flat number. Um, that number is called the aspect ratio. And when you do weaves, it'll say you'll use an aspect ratio of this ring and this type of ring and this type of ring, and you can make patterns with different sizes. You can scale that up and down depending on how big you want your project to be. So a smaller wire gauge with a smaller interior diameter might have the same aspect ratio as like a huge chonky ring.
Mm.
Just I hope you have the pliers that can handle it.
Yeah.
Um, But I opened up that first sheet and was like, oh, this looks like math.
Mhm.
I don't know. Math is not my. I didn't get blessed with that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, that's. But it turns out it's mostly just patterns. Once you recognize like which ring size you want,
Mhm.
that's it. You can make any pattern. There's a website called Male Artisans, and it's Maille and artisans, and they have weaves for different things. Some that have tutorials, which are really super easy. I see somebody in my chat is mocking me for my lack of love of math.
Now, see, I always say if you're queer, you can have 2 of 3 things. You can cook, drive, or do math, but you cannot have all 3.
Oh God, you're so right. I think I got the drive one. Oh no, oh no. I would die if I was left alone. I like to think that, like, in an apocalypse, my mailing abilities wouldn't actually be the worst thing to have, but I also don't know how to do anything else, so I would still die. Like, oh no. So I can say in chainmail, I actually I use a lot of aluminum because it's easier on your hands, easier on your pliers, and it's generally lighter to wear, so people don't like steel nonsense hanging off of you.
Right.
So most of what I do on that image that you've got up on your stream is going to be in the aspect ratio range, about middle of the sheet up to all the way towards the top. So if we're talking vertically. So I don't do anything really past 12, 14 gauge. And the bigger the number, the smaller the ring actually tends to be, which is delightful, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like your gauges. Yeah. Yeah. So I have some 24 gauge wire, and like I sneeze and I can't see it anymore. Like I'll drop it and be like, well, that's gone forever.
Right.
It's just goodbye. There are mailers that work really fine rings in like the 32 gauge range, and they're using like needles to bend it. I'm like, what are you are you okay? Do you need like a snack? So I'll make my jewelry usually between the 20 gauge and the 16 gauge. And honestly, I will tell you that chainmail did ruin my hands.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so I was gaming and I was chainmailing, and I'm not gonna be. Yeah, it's not. Don't do that. Take breaks. Stretchies. Ice your hands. Be careful. Actually, be careful of compression gloves. I started wearing them when I was chainmailing, but if you have any like inflammation in your tendons, the compression gloves actually squash it and make it so much worse. I had no idea. I was like, my hands hurt. I should just smoosh them, right? Just you smoosh the hands until they feel good, and that's wrong.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, because like artists wear gloves to protect, like the digital artists that I know wear gloves. It's to protect their fingers from their tablet so they don't accidentally draw with their hands.
Yeah.
Or to protect their hands from actual like graphite or charcoal. And I totally get that. I was like, oh yeah, no, art gloves. Yeah, I love art gloves. Put it on. I was like, oh, I think I feel better. And I would keep mailing. I was like, I don't think I do. So be careful if you get into stuff like that. I had to have surgery on one of my hands in 2 different spots to fix it. Chainmail is brutal, and I know lots of chainmailers have the same issues that I did. So for jewelry, I make accessories. I make a lot of keychains. I'll admit that a lot of my early stuff was done in Harry Potter colors because I was dumb.
No, that's fair.
So, I mean, they were easy to match. It's like, the house colors is just 2 colors, great, and like that sold like hotcakes on Etsy. So I was like, yeah, but now we don't mess with that anymore. So now I just do gay stuff. Just all gay. It's great. Like I get to look up different flags and pick out their color patterns and be like, well, I can't make the lesbian with the battle axe one look good, but I can do my best. So some of the pictures I've sent to you are from early on, like just figuring out what I'm doing towards where I figured out I could make a dragon, like a flexible dragon out of scale and chainmail. Oh, those are my biggest hits, and those take like weeks and weeks. And then I sent you what's called a jelly cube.
Okay,
which is at least 2 of those videos. Yeah, so that's a chainmail pattern that's it's actually really easy. It's one of the Japanese patterns, so it's 1 ring at a time in horizontal to vertical, and the way they stack, if you get the aspect ratio just right, the one for those cubes is 2.9 aspect ratio. So not very common, but they don't stay stiff, but they never miss a line. So you can actually wiggle the cube a little bit with your hands, and it never loses structure, but it's absolutely unstable.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I would
It
play with those
feels
so
like
much.
the stim factor is so strong. I can't even describe it. When I was doing conventions, I had to chain them to my table because they were going.
Oh,
They
yeah.
like. I have friends that steal mine, and I keep a couple like on the counter in my house, and like I'll have a friend come over, and I'll see their eyes like zip over to it, and just like reach out and just be like, "This is just gonna be with me. It's gonna be my friend for a while." In the chainmail community, there's somebody who made a jelly cube that I think was like 30 pounds.
Oh my god.
They just kept doing layer after layer, and they just wanted to see how big they could make it. And they put like $2,000 of jump rings into it. It was so preposterous. Oh, the temptation is there. Like if the money aside, because you're just building a wiggly cube. Come on. Oh, the temptation is strong. Oh, it's so strong. But I like doing captures. I like doing accessories. I have some chainmail in the house that I bought from like a museum that sells non-display pieces. So I have some 15th century like riveted chainmail on a necklace, and I keep looking at it and go, that's what a real chainmailer looks like. That's what I should be doing. And I'm like, I can't. In a tangent that will make sense hopefully someday. How far did you get into Deep Space Nine? Did you meet any of Jadzia's people, like inside worm people?
Yeah.
So the way Jadzia met and knows like her former parasite's hosts, her symbiont's hosts, in my Star Trek character that I portray on stream, one of mine is a blacksmith. So they're the reason why my character that I play, my avatar, and the Finn that you're looking at right now, that's why they know how to do any of this. So I know how to anodize reactive metals like niobium and titanium. Totally know how to do that. That stuff is so cool. I only know like the surface level of the science enough to not hurt myself while I do it. But there's a lady who runs Steampunk Garage who's insanely popular on TikTok, where you'll see her dipping chainmail into a solution and touching it with anodes and cathodes. And as she's pulling it out, she's changing the voltage on the machine that's running to them, and they change color in a way that doesn't really come off. It can fade, but it doesn't come off because it's changing the oxide layer on the surface of the metals. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So titanium and niobium are hypoallergenic metals.
Oh.
So both of those are used in surgical procedures. Niobium is a little heavier and a little softer than titanium. So most people just go straight for titanium, but niobium is actually used a lot more now in earring wires because it absolutely won't cause any problems ever, and you can change the color of them. I did include a little color reference sheet for the amperage on how to get different colors on your reactive metals. It's missing black and red, which is devastating. But I get it. Electricity can only go so far. But I think we could do your entire character's main model set of colors, like your main palette, except for the black.
Oh, yeah.
So if I was to make your character something, I would go with blackened stainless steel and then anodize other scales on top of it, or rings on top of the scales to attach it to make it pop. I think that would be so cool. And you could do spikes so we can make it a little bit violent.
Oh.
Not that you're violent. I just I love the aggressive, like, this is who I am, take it nature of all of the different versions of your model.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So you can do all that with chainmail. So I saw somebody in your chat. Oh yeah. So that's the colors that you can go through with the machine. I am a. You may not know this, but I really like blue.
I never would have guessed.
No, no. Uh, so I have a really good time with reactive metals because I just stay within like their blue ranges, and I'm like, yep, this is enough. I don't need any other colors.
Right.
Oh, oh no.
That's so interesting. It's just with electricity?
It's just with electricity. So the device that's used, I think, was originally meant for putting a protective oxidized layer onto medical stuff. It wasn't necessarily meant to color. It's just that once it, like I said, I only know the surface level of how this stuff works. I wish I knew the science precisely. But I'm gonna be honest, there's so many chainmailers in the chainmailing community, which is bigger than you'd think. Better than I thought. They've got this stuff down to a science. Like they'll knock down a couple of voltage points on their knob and then pull back, and anything that's a higher voltage, any color on that scale will stay, because you have to have a higher voltage number than that to cover it on the metal. So you see people who will make beautiful patterns or attach the cathode to a sponge, a wet sponge soaked in the solution, and they'll sponge paint on the metal. There are special brushes you can attach to the machine that are attached to the cathode, and they'll brush like they're painting a fucking art piece. Pardon my French, but I'm very excited. And watching these people work is, it's not ASMR, but it's so close in my brain.
Yeah.
There's a guy who doesn't stream anymore because he also took some physical damage doing this over his lifespan. And he takes, he'll do cutouts in vinyl, and he'll place that onto the reactive metals that he's using, and it actually prevents the solution from touching those parts of the metal. So he can get extremely precise designs on pieces. So he can write words and letters and literally put brand designs on things that are so clean. And I want to be able to do that someday. But after my surgery, I had to take it's been like a year and some months since my surgery. I'm just barely getting back.
Yeah.
Like, ooh. I have been working on some Star Trek uniform scale mail pieces. So I go on the Star Trek cruise for the past couple of years, and they have a craft swap. So yes. And so I just take scale mail and I put a little rhinestone on it for the comm badge. And layer in the uniform colors.
That's so cool.
I think I included an image in the Dropbox. I don't know if it made it to OneDrive. I just took it because I've got it all over in front of me. It's just rings and scales and earring hooks and little paper backs for me to stick these things to when I'm done with them. It would have had that's probably got today's date because I just took those. Did it work? Did it work? I also included in the Dropbox, there's stuff that says IMG. Those are probably not safe for stream, but if you wanted to see it, those are some of the pauldrons and loincloths I made.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't just do small projects, I'll do the bigger projects, but I find that doing a shirt of armor is exhausting. For my dopamine hungry brain.
Yeah.
Unless you tell me you want it in a rainbow gradient, all right, we can talk. We can talk. But just straight sheet metal. I'm so tired already thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you, I don't know, does Leg ever need chainmail? Do you need armor? Do you need accessories? Because if you got a PO box or a safe address, I have chainmail to send. You can DM me that later. You can DM me that later.
Jackie and I have been talking about going to Ren Fair together eventually.
Oh my god! Yes. Oh my god, Jackie will look so freaking cute in chainmail too. Oh my god, I'm just saying. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna slide into your DMs later about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love that.
Because I could do small projects now, but I have to take a lot of breaks. So
Mhm.
like my Etsy has been shut down for years at this point.
Yeah.
But my house is still full of chainmail. Hey. Hashtag special special interests. They
Yeah,
never
no,
leave us.
I get that. Jackie used to make fursuits and she
Oh,
retired from it, but she still has like a basement full of fur. And she's
you
still like
kidding me?
just
That's
like
so
trying to find
cool.
people to give it to get it out of her house.
That's so cool
Yeah.
though. Holy sheesh. Okay, I don't know how I didn't know that already. Oh my god, that's so awesome. I I mean, I'd like to think that there's people in the fur community who would be willing to compensate Jackie for some fur.
I would think so, yeah.
See? See? There's one. I see it in chat. Yes.
She's
Yeah, should be yeah.
mm.
Yeah. Do you know all my jump rings come from Canada
Oh.
and Australia?
Oh man.
Like there's not a single US company that will so to make jump rings, it's essentially you take the actual wire itself and spin it around a mandrel, which is essentially just like a power drill with a big long I I don't know how many of us know about mandrels, but they're essentially just sticks. They're
Mm.
dowels. So I've made my own jump rings, where you just literally stick the dowel into a power drill and like slowly run the power drill as you coil the wire around it, and then you just actually slice straight up the side of
Mhm.
the coil when you're done. And if you're not terrible at it, you can make half decent rings. Um, but nobody here in America is doing that. I have to. There's two companies in Canada, and We've Got Mail, WEAVE, which is my favorite pun.
Oh yeah, I was
Uh,
looking at that website the other day when I was like
oh
getting ready for this.
yes, that's yeah. So there's We've Got Mail, the Ring Lord, and Metal Designs, and those are my go-tos. Um, the Ring Lord quality is not as great. Metal Designs is excellent, but a little expensive. And We've Got
Mhm.
Mail has like stuff that's just not available in, I guess, the North America.
Mm.
Uh, and they're so cool. Um, they'll sell kits, they'll sell tutorials, they'll sell you jump rings, they'll sell you the actual earring hooks, they'll sell you scales. We've Got Mail, I think, does scales that are rounded at the bottom. They call them mermaid scales.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, those are actually from fly fishing. They're little
Oh.
fishing scales that are used to weigh down your fishing lure. It's
Mhm.
so funny. Like the mailing community was like, "How did you get that rounded bottom scale?" And they're like, "It was in my fly fishing kit." And then we just like descended on fishing shops,
Mhm.
like just oh, like locusts, just absolutely ravenous for this new thing. Uh, I really like being part of the community, even though I am like on Twitch, I'm mostly a lurker. But like
Mhm.
most chainmailers will just tell you how they make stuff.
Yeah.
They'll you ask for a tutorial, they'll point it out to you. I say, how did you get that attached to a hair clip? There's literally like an alligator barrette
Mhm.
with chainmail on it in like the shape of a flower, and I'm like, hello, hi, how do? And they'll just be like, oh, here's everything you need to know. You want to know how I captured this gem in chainmail, but just using pressure with no glue? Here's this. Use this size, and definitely don't get this brand. And it's so inclusive and amazing.
Mhm.
They do unfortunately use Facebook. It's
Oh.
so gross.
Yeah.
So gross. It's like, wow, God, what do I need Facebook for? Apparently chainmail. Antiquated? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, for the record, you could say chainmail with or without the E. Like, nobody cares. It's all
Right.
accurate. Okay, are you ready? Do you want to swap up? Do you want the Star Trek?
Yeah, go for it.